The special meeting of the Wappinger Town Board to order. May the clerk please call the roll.
Councilman Beal.
Here.
Councilwoman Bettina.
Here.
Councilman Phillips. Here. Councilman Casella.
Here.
Supervisor Cavaccini.
Here. In just a moment, I'll ask you to please join us in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which will be followed by a moment of silence in memory of former Town of Wappinger Highway Department employee George Battaglia. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may
I'd
be
like
seated.
to interrupt for a minute. October 7th was an awful day in the world. I would hope that we all take a moment to recognize the people that are still hostages and for all the people that died. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you. So tonight, folks, we are going to go back to the way a few different administrations have done some things when it comes to the budget presentation. Tonight, the town board will be receiving the supervisor's tentative budget, which includes the budget and departmental requests from our department heads and townwide elected officials. What we're looking to do is do a high-level overview for both the public and for the town board to fully digest where we are. It'll be a short and sweet presentation, and then the town board will receive the budget. There will be additional and ongoing discussions and deliberations between the town board and opportunities for the public to comment as well. So right now I'd like to call up the comptroller, and I'm going to come down to the podium and start a presentation. What are you doing, Jess? I got it. Thank you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let me make sure, there we go. It's important to preface this budget process with the new administration, working with the town board and cleaning up a number of things. It's important to refresh everyone's memory and preface this budget presentation with refreshing everyone's memory and offering additional insight to our residents on the budget process. By virtue of this office, the town supervisor is the chief financial officer of the town, and as such is responsible for the accounting of its records, required state and local financial reporting, as well as any independent audits. In addition to this, per New York State law, Section 103 of Town Law, as budget officer, the town supervisor facilitates the budget process with the town comptroller and department heads and townwide elected officials to prepare a tentative budget for the town board to review and to make additions and deletions and as they see fit. We started this process in July. Per New York State Town Law, Section 106, the town supervisor then delivers the tentative budget to the town clerk on September 30th, and at our last town board meeting, we scheduled this special meeting for the town clerk to deliver that budget to the town board. In returning again to the past practices of prior administrations and some of my predecessors, I felt it was of great importance to address the town board and to address the public tonight with this presentation, noting that this is not meant to place blame on anyone or commit the town to anything. It is simply ensuring and following through on my commitment as your supervisor to full transparency and not withholding any accurate information, whether it's to the town board or to the public. Per New York State Town Law, Section 103, I am pleased to present this town supervisor's tentative budget for the fiscal year 2025, a sound and balanced financial plan for the 150th year of this town's existence. That, as it stands, will be under the tax cap and with a tax rate decrease, featuring expanded services that will be detailed all throughout this presentation and in the coming weeks during deliberations. As we reflect on our journey as to how we got here, it is essential to acknowledge the challenges that we inherited, including items within the 2024 budget that were either not fully funded for, or the previous crafters in the comptroller's office fell short in identifying crucial areas such as covering debt service in the Wildwood Sewer District, salaries that were either underfunded or improperly allocated, and additionally, we faced issues with not having enough to fund utilities and insurance. But rest assured, these have all been accounted for and corrected. As announced in the 2024 State of the Town Address, we have strengthened this town's commitment to fiscal responsibility as we undertook a comprehensive review of all of our financials, drilling down diligently to uncover true expenses and discrepancies. I am proud to report that, again, the town of Wappinger is in excellent financial shape, now doubled with the strong internal policies and procedures that have been implemented throughout this year. They have allowed us to develop a realistic understanding of all of our expenses and revenues that we are now able to give to the town board and to the public. Our neighbors expect this town government to be held to the same standard they are each day. In doing so, on day one, we mandated that all town employees clock in and out for accountability and safety purposes. We cut back on excessive overtime on clerical work and transferred all department heads from hourly to salaried, all of which have optimized our resources while not compromising on our quality day-to-day in this government. Furthermore, by bringing the preparation of town board resolutions in-house, we've managed to save taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars this year so far. The town board formally accepted and committed nearly $3 million of American Rescue Plan funds that were allocated to us by the federal government. Earlier this year, the town board utilized a portion of these American Rescue Plan funds toward the introduction of new Tyler Technologies software. Previously, town departments used their own outdated software, not allowing any communication with each other. Our goal has been to promote communication by partnering our efforts to be unifying in town hall and dismantling these silos. I'm proud to say that we have dismantled these silos and fostering communication and collaboration across all of our departments through this new software. In the coming months, we'll be rolling out a new public-facing component that will allow residents to sign up for e-billing, to see real-time water usage for their municipal water, and so much more. The addition of this new software has already eliminated the need for outsourcing payroll, printing of checks, and other personnel and finance functions that will save taxpayers over $30,000 moving forward. For the first time in a decade, we have instituted consistent bi-monthly department head meetings that have enhanced coordination and synergy among various departments and branches of this town government. Scaling back on wasteful spending, such as high attendance at various conferences, cutting back on dozens of employee cell phones, have resulted in significant savings. We have found that hundreds of thousands of dollars in outstanding bills were not paid going back to 2021, and that the town was operating without contracts with many of our professionals, which, again, we have corrected. In putting professional services out to bid through request for proposals and appointing them based on merit. In reviewing our strong finances, we noticed that some of our smaller water and sewer districts were operating in the red due to non-balanced budgets and no increases for years, drawing down some of the little surpluses and fund balances that they had. This is dangerous, as some of these districts operate under 200 homes, and any major repairs can shift a hefty burden onto taxpayers. As you've seen throughout this year, this town board has been very proactive in obtaining grant funding, as well as allocating necessary funds through budget transfers to pay for debt. This budget, and working with everyone here, would make our Midpoint Park and Wildwood Sewer Districts whole and balanced again, with as much mitigation to our residents as possible. It is crucial to have any kind of fund balance in general, and to ensure that you are not facing any serious bills or commitment on your end, we will continue to be as financially responsible when it comes to these crucial infrastructure improvements through this tentative budget. We looked at strategic portfolio diversification. Through this, we have begun generating an additional $60,000 a month in interest payments on town funds, ensuring optimal returns while safeguarding our financial stability. That was money that was previously left on the table over the past 6 years to the tune of $4.4 million in lost interest and opportunity. And again, through the diversification of these funds, putting them in strong interest-paying depositories, we have been able to save taxpayers a significant amount of money that is being factored into this tentative budget. In anticipation of these lowering rates across the nation, we're seeing lowering interest rates. We have once again diversified our funds and plan to lock in a CD with an interest rate of around 3% to hopefully continue to maintain these aggressive interest earnings. It is also important to note that we together put an end to the 2-year-long arbitration between our CSEA members of the Town of Wappinger Highway Department and the town government, and officially approving 2 collective bargaining agreements for the Highway Department, ending 8 years of not having a CBA with that department, ensuring that we look out for the best interest of our employees and ensuring that we hold firm on our contracts. Through this careful planning, we have successfully crafted a supervisor tentative budget for the town board to review that reduces town taxes through a tax rate decrease and stays under the New York State tax cap. Taxpayers will find the newly forecasted town outside village homestead rate to be $1.59 per thousand through this proposal, at a decrease from $1.70 per thousand of assessed value. And again, all of these are based on what we have discussed now, and through additional deliberations, they may go up or down. But the key point to remember is it is a tax rate decrease, and we are under the New York State cap. This budget not only meets all of our contractual obligations and anticipated increases, but it also allows us to expand our Parks and Recreation Department programming to include 2 summer camps. One hopefully to be located at Castle Point Park, and the other to be strengthened at Martz Field. It increases our aggressive efforts when it comes to grant funding and planning, enhancing our parks and facilities infrastructure, investing in significant capital improvements for our town's water, sewer, and roadway infrastructure, as well as continuing our commitment to foster a safe work environment for our Buildings and Grounds Department at a new facility, just as we have done at the Highway Garage earlier this year, among so many other initiatives. Additionally, we are excited to allocate resources to celebrate our town's 150th anniversary through the Wappinger 150 initiative that will highlight a year's worth of activities, events, and programs for all ages, including an expanded concert series and so much more. I truly do look forward to having a collaborative conversation with everyone, the town board, our residents, on this process. And as I turn things over to our town comptroller, I know that together we will continue to build the strong and amazing community that we have today. Thank you, and Madam Comptroller, why don't you take it away?
We're going to keep this very brief. I'm just going to give a general process of our budget here and what we did here. So obviously our main budget goal for this is to keep the tax levy as low as possible by still providing all the high quality services in the most effective manner. We also want to be able to reinvest into our long-term infrastructure. So just a brief tentative budget overview here. Given the total assessed value of the entire town, you want to look at the tax levy there is just over $9 million. The total expenditures for our town are around $20 million. So as hefty as that tax levy may be, we did get, very creative in our revenues and, reaching out to the state and really finding every dollar amount that the town is actually eligible for. The 2025 tax town rate is, you can see there, Joe, I think you have the wrong numbers. No, just kidding, sorry, 171 to 159. So the lower level are your 2024s, your middle level are the 2025s. You have it broken down between homestead and non-homestead. So the rate for each individual one both decreased while we were able to also stay underneath the tax cap. Okay, so just a brief introduction on the tax cap. So New York State real property tax cap limits the total levy that we are allowed to put on to the taxpayers. It is the allowable of 2% or the rate of inflation, the lesser of the two, and it's obviously subject to limited exclusions. Just to put things into perspective, a 2% tax cap on our levy is equivalent to $177,000. That's not a lot of money. Our Wildwood sewer debt payment that needed to be budgeted for was $90,000, and our ambulance contract increased to $150,000. So your tax cap is gone already. The increase on your tax cap is gone between two contractual obligations that we have. So this tentative budget is under the tax cap. It's at a 1.6% increase in the tax levy. And just a short budget review here. Things that were very large factors that we had to take into consideration. Medical insurance. Some of our plans went up 24%. Again, something we have no control over whatsoever. New York State retirement rates continue to increase. Our debt payments increase. There's no additional debt added to it, but the debt payments will increase as you get further along into your amortization. And obviously contractual obligations that the town has. We are under the tax cap, and the tax rate is still being reduced. We're about just over $12,000 below that tax cap. The town board is committed to major infrastructure improvements with the ARPA fund, so that lessens the burden on the taxpayers as well. I broke it down into some of the major funds we have here. I didn't put ambulance on here. We know it's a $150,000 increase. Your drainage funds didn't increase at all. You'll see a big decrease in DB fund. Now, nothing was cut from this whatsoever. We did one cut in the salt budget. The town supervisor, the highway superintendent, and myself did a full analysis of the salt inventory that we had, and we were able to look at funds from this year to carry over to next year, as well as realizing we were way in advance as to what we needed, so we were able to cut funds there. I also called New York State to find out the exact dollar amount that the town of Wappinger would be granted for the multiple funding that they give us. It's CHIPS, there's Storm, there's Pave Our Holes, there's Pave New York. The total amount was over $450,000, and we only had $250,000 budgeted in the previous budget. So it looks like a big drastic cut as if we're cutting things from there. Really, we were just able to put in actual real revenue numbers that were going to be granted from New York State. Your water and sewer is strictly debt payments. Obviously, Wildwood Sewer having the $90,000 interest payment, or principal and interest payment, made our sewer district jump up quite a bit. The jump in your lighting districts is to cover the increased cost of electricity, as well as we're trying to bump up some of those negative trending fund balances that we had as well. And that's about all I have.
And just to kind of recap and close things out in a sense, one thing that we've heard, whether it was from my colleagues on the town board, department heads, employees, was they were not getting true and accurate information in the past. This is something I want to stress upon everyone, was in the previous administration, I hate to keep doing that, but it's what we're dealing with here, we were not given full and clear numbers. The town board is not at fault by any means for that. No department head is at fault by any means for that. And in a way to address the fact that I kept hearing it all year long, well, we didn't know that. Well, we didn't know that. We didn't know that. From everyone. We wanted to be as transparent and as communicative as possible and let everyone to get on the same page. And this way, at least we have a good footing and a good stance to move forward through this budget process. Thank you.
Thanks. So I'd like to make a couple of comments on the budget discussion. Number one, as you can imagine, we're looking at the budget for the first time, so we have not seen any of the numbers that were recorded up here. So again, we want to go through it, we want to scrutinize it. We do make changes, we've made changes in the past. Previous supervisors will continue to do that. So as the supervisor said, there will be changes again to the numbers here, so I want to make that very, very clear. Second thing is some of the items that you talked about from our previous administration. So some of the things that we have done specifically for, as an example, insurance, we know we're under in our insurance. That's not something that our town board, specifically the five of us, look at. That's something more that the previous CFO and the supervisor look at. Again, that's estimate is that they get from MVP, Marshall and Sterling. So those are the kind of things that we would not even see up here. So I just want to make that clear that there are certain things that we don't look at from a tax cap or from a tax rate that, again, you had mentioned there. So I just want to make that very clear. Insurance, as we all know, car insurance, health insurance, everything's going up significantly. Utilities, same thing. Central Hudson, we've all seen our Central Hudson bills go up significantly. And salaries, from a 2024 perspective, we had a number of hirings this year. So we would expect our salaries for 2025 to go up. But the number in the accounting department, new controller as an example. We've also done some in the recreation department, also buildings and grounds. So again, those are things that we would see in 2025. So again, I just want to make sure as we look at this, and I look forward to working with the board on the budget, but as we do look at it, hopefully we take into consideration that some of the folks came on at different points in time of the year, so it will affect our run rate for 2025. So hopefully we've normalized for a full year. Again, but I do look forward to working with the board. There probably will be some level of changes that we do make. Again, we always do, so it's nothing personal to the supervisor. But again, the changes that we'd like to see from a town board perspective. I haven't seen it again, so this is the first time I'm looking at it, and I'm sure we'll work together to make sure that, you know, we make the changes that we feel are necessary to the budget. So I thank you for the presentation, Jessica and Joey. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate that, and all my colleagues here. I think, again, just having the open and honest communication amongst everyone, and obviously the public is paramount here, and that's the intention. So I do believe that we have to go into executive session to discuss a brief personnel matter, to brief the board, and with that, do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Before we do that, one last thing. Jessica, yes. Can we make sure we get our Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Thank you, please.
Yes. This will be sent digitally. Yes.
Okay.
When are they going to be there? When are they going to be? Please.
Okay, great.
And you're also going to highlight the ones that are over, because I think I asked you to do that.
Oh, we're talking about two different things.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
different.
but I did ask you to send me a spreadsheet with who was over, to highlight it in yellow. I haven't seen that, and I don't think anybody on the board has seen that either.
Yeah, so we're
So
looking
please
for
send
October
that.
actuals plus
Thank
the
you.
overage. Again, folks, just what this is, we're talking about the Excel spreadsheets. What it allows us to do is we make changes to the budget. We can see how it affects the tax cap, and so we want to be able to do that. So that's all we're asking for. So, perfect example, Joey wants to put in $100,000 for Conworth.
That is not true.
It's not true.
No, but with all due respect, Al, you know, that's the dangerous narrative that we don't need to have floating out
My
there
point
either.
is that you're going to put a number in as we make changes to it. We want to be able to see how it's going to affect the tax cap.
Absolutely, and
That's
I
all.
would again encourage everyone to fully review the budget, you know, before we start talking about making changes and hypotheticals.
Just one thing, my thanks to the supervisor and your team for putting this together. The tax rate has decreased in this supervisor's budget, which is a great starting point for us as we move forward. I just want to mention the ambulance obligation, obviously, that Jessica mentioned. Obviously, we've talked about this before. Countywide, we're facing an EMS crisis with respect to commercial ambulance providers. We have been able to negotiate a number that, although higher, is still much less than other municipalities. And as we move forward, we are currently exploring options with sharing services with our village as well to try to save money across the board between town and village residents, and at the same time give us an additional unit. So that conversation is ongoing. At this point of the budget process, the number that goes in is the number that's in the contract, but we may be in a position moving forward where that number will change for lower. So we are working on that. Just want to get that out there. It is a fixed cost cost, unfortunately. There's not a lot of options with that, but it is a work in progress. Thank you.
Yes. And again, a lot of this, what we spoke about tonight, was taking into account all of these set costs, such as ambulance, and getting just to a square one. So with that, do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilman Beal. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much, folks. We will not be returning in public session. Good night.